Welcome to Living a Life by Design. It's the journey back to you and living 365 days of purpose with your host, Esther Graham. Did you know your accountability and possibility is by design? God designed a phenomenal life for you, gave you the gift of choice. Esther helps empower you to discover and pursue the purpose that is already in you. Are you ready to look at yourself and see your future? Then get back to what is really important in life and get in alignment with your true self. Stay tuned to Living a Life by Design. Journey back to you and start living 365 days of purpose with your host, Esther Graham. It all starts now.
Good afternoon. Hello, everyone. So glad that you're joining me today in the Life by Design podcast. And I'm so super excited today to welcome my mentor, my coach, my friend. What else can I say about the phenomenal, the GOAT, the greatest of all time, Lisa Nichols. So please join me, everyone, and welcome her to the Life by Design podcast today. Welcome, Lisa.
Oh, thank you so much, Esther. I'm so excited to be with you. So excited we have this time together. So excited that I get to be in such a delicious conversation. I was reading your post and your advertisement. I was more and more excited just to have this conversation with all these beautiful souls and yourself.
Thank you so much. I'm excited today because one of the things that's just been on my mind a lot, I just began to think about my journey from since I stepped onto your campus. And since you became a part of not just my life, but the life of my husband and really my family, because they know you. I talk about you so much. And when I begin to think about, the things I've learned from you and the things I've done, since becoming a part of MTM, which is the Motivating the Masses campus, but since you've been my coach, I have to go back to one of the things I first heard you say was, you are your own rescue.
Yes.
You are your own rescue. And when I think about my journey and how I was introduced to you, which was really online, not knowing who you are. My daughter, Ani, said, hey, you should listen to this woman. And it came at the perfect time. I listened to you and I began to Google to see who you were. And you were talking about your event that was coming up. And I will never forget, I said, oh, I got to be at this event. You know how you feel a pulling in your soul?
Yeah.
That you have to be there. Yeah. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm going for business because I need to level up my business. I need to do this in my business. But yet you just kept speaking. And I know you know this story. I called my husband from my office and said, I'm going to this conference. My husband and I are pastors. We're business people. We're entrepreneurs. And I said, but it's not a church conference. So, I'm going to this conference. He says, what kind of conference is it? I said, it's a business conference and I said, I'm going. And he said, okay, do you know the woman? I said, I have no clue who she is. But I know I need to be there.
Yeah.
And I will never forget, I registered. And then you talked about the VIP. And I felt that pull again. Oh, I got to go to the VIP. I called him back. I said, I'm going to the VIP. Now, you don't have to go. I just want you to know I'm going.
Right. I'm just going to notice I'm going.
Yeah. And so he said, well, if you're going, I'm going. Best decision we ever made. I think about you're your own rescue.
Well, you gotta say the part that's my favorite. The first day you was ready to go down and you're sitting in front or wherever you're sitting and he's like, I'm just coming with you. And the second day,
he was there before me because the first day he said, he was very plain about what he had to say. He said, Esther, I'm telling you right now, if this is a touchy-feely girl, I'm just going to go. I'm going to work from the hotel room. I'm just going to go. That'd be my first day with you. And then you could go on your, I was like, okay, great. So and so we get there. Boy, listen, we weren't even through half of the day. We were like still at the first session. And he leaned over and said, ooh, this is good. This is good.
Yeah.
The next day and every day after that, he was dressed and ready to go. And I had to catch up with him. And we were
and he's been that way ever since because on our first coaching session,
Oh, yeah.
I love where he comes from. He said,
Yeah.
I asked him, what would be a win for you? He said, please make sure this isn't just an expensive hobby for my wife.
He
And
sure did.
when we did that within 90 days, we had some
Yeah.
profit. He
Oh,
said,
yeah.
and now it's been what, 3 years?
Been 3 years. It has been 3 years. And so it's just amazing, there's only two sets of people. It's you and Anthony and Margot Wallace that he'll say, okay, let's go. Let's
Right,
go.
right.
And
But
that's it.
I want to really spotlight what you said about you are your own rescue, because when you first came on the campus, you're a wildly successful woman. You're a wildly successful businesswoman. You have multiple centers inside of your business. You are revenue generating, and yet I cater to business leaders. I cater to successful women who want to up level their next season, who want to touch that version of themselves that they're still exploring. And that was you. And you said, there's more in me. I got a message in me. So you came with a lot, but you wanted to see what you were feeling. You wanted to see, watching you, you were the evidence. So I just want to say you are as much a blessing to me as I hope that I have been to you, because I know this works. I know this works. And when I see it in people like you, because you follow the advice, you follow the coaching to the T, like to the T. And when I course correct you, you take it and run with it because you're a leader. So I just have to say, watching you be your own rescue when you weren't in devastation. Please understand the phrase, you are your own rescue, does not mean that you're desperate or down and out. It means everything you want for you, you can create for you with help, maybe with guidance, with time, with investment, you can. So watching you be your own rescue, because I remember when you first came to me, there was a little bit of, I'm happy, but there's something else. There was some longing. There was more longing there, and I don't see it anymore.
Yeah. And it's not there anymore, because since then I've gone and I've done what was in my heart to do and expand what was in my heart to do. And I think, I went out and as you said, the phrase, you are your own rescue, isn't that you're in destitute. There's just more for you. I knew that there was more for me. I didn't know how to get there. And what I learned from you is how to get there.
Mm-hmm.
What I learned was how to remove the hindrances, those obstacles that was stopping me, the fear of being, successful, even or more successful, the fear of not being liked. Because I'll be honest with you, and I don't even know if I told you this. When I first came to you and when I first started coaching, I was very quiet about it. I speak about it more now, but I was very quiet because I didn't know how people were going to see me or view me. Well, who is she going to? What is she doing? You understand? So I just wanted to quietly do it, and then just make the quiet moves, and then say, oh no, this is my coach. This is who has helped me. This is who I've been talking to. But before I was afraid. Honestly, I was afraid of the judgment. I was afraid of, what people are going to say. Well, what is she doing now? When they say, what is she doing? They're saying, oh, I like that. Oh, I see she's stepping out more.
Mm-hmm.
And I see the evidence of what she has been doing. And now they ask questions. So what are you doing? And it's
so much of our, sorry to cut you off, sis. So much of our desires are stagnated by our fear of judgment.
yes.
And I love asking the question, what would you do with 5% more self-esteem? If you're hearing my voice now, answer that question repeatedly, because there's probably 10 or 15 things you would do with 5% more self-esteem. And so you really set in that fear of judgment. And what we needed to do was get you one small step, not a huge step, one small step. And you did one small step after another until you gained the confidence. Now you are playing so big, like you're doing an event, you're doing multiple events each year. You went from 0 events to now annually you do, I don't know what,
Retreat.
retreat.
I do. Yeah. The retreats, the workshops, the virtual.
And where have you done them? And where have you done them?
Oh, wow. My retreats, not only have they been in the United States, but they've been in Grenada, they've been in Italy, and the next one is in Dubai.
Hello. Now, what's really fun is that you're playing bigger. There's still the possibility of judgment, but you're more focused on the possibility of winning. That judgment still lingers out there as long as you have humans, you have people judging. But when you're focused on, when you have evidence, and I think that's where, when you talk about you are your own rescue, you already have evidence. You have evidence, sis, that you can rise above anything. You have evidence that you can bounce back if you get knocked down. You have evidence that judgment doesn't destroy you. You have evidence. What I witnessed in you and so many other souls have witnessed in you, which is why your messages have changed, your comments have changed, is you've given enough evidence. And I believe that if in a court of law, a man or woman can be released based on the evidence or sentenced to life based on evidence, why is it that we forget that we've given ourselves evidence that we are our own rescue? And so I love that concept. I love what it means. I love to break it down because it's a nice concept. You are your own rescue. But what does that mean? It means that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. What does that mean? Because I think for different people, it may mean different things based on where they are in their life and even their perception, possibly. Would that be correct?
Absolutely, because your perception, now you have to watch out because your perception may not be where you are, but your perception makes you believe that's where you are. And so your perception becomes your truth. So watch out what you believe because you will work hard to make that true. But
I
also,
love what you just said. I'm sorry. Your
yes,
perception becomes your truth. Your perception becomes your truth.
you
Your
work hard. You
Mhm.
work hard. If you say somebody, he's no good, she's no good, you won't see any good they do because you have to be right to yourself. We all want to be right to ourselves. And so your perception is going to work hard to make itself the truth. So watch what you feed yourself.
Yeah, so important, so important. Everyone, we'll be right back. We're going to take a quick commercial break. See you in a couple of seconds.
Don't go anywhere. It only gets
Don't
juicy.
go anywhere. It's getting juicy. Welcome back to Life by Design with our phenomenal guest, Lisa Nichols. And if you were just on just a few minutes ago, you just got a powerful conversation, juicy conversation on being your own rescue. What does it mean? What does it look like? So we're going to continue that conversation with what does being your own rescue look like? What are the action steps that you must take in order to rescue yourself from wherever you are right now in order something that you said, Lisa, I've heard you say it several times, that, and I wrote it down. You said you had to die to any form of you to birth, right, to birth and become the future woman, into the woman you were becoming.
So as you can relate to this, just let us know. Just type in chat. Just, we're in a dialogue here. But your future will not be able to fully be seen if your past keeps showing up in your present. I'll say it again, another way. As long as your past keeps showing up in your present tense, your future will pay the ultimate price. Your future cannot fit in an equation that's in a conversation, in an experience that's already filled with past limiting beliefs, past fear storms, past judgment. When you say, I don't trust people, you're actually saying, I don't trust people in my future based on what happened with people in my past. And so as long as you are making your future pay for your past, then there's no evolution. And so there's this concept, and I was willing to do it. I said, I will die to any form of the former Lisa. I love her. I embrace her. I have grace for her. But if there's any part of her preventing the woman I'm becoming from showing up, I'm willing to lovingly release her. And don't forget her. I can tell you all my issues. I got my issues. I know them. But I know the ones that I no longer live inside of navigating. They're just a part of who I've been. They're part of what I've navigated through. but I'm not packing their bags and taking them into every year with me. And
You're not
so
taking up real estate there
I'm
anymore.
not parking and taking up real estate in an old experience. There's so many experiences designed to give us a characteristic, to have us develop a characteristic that we're going to need 3 years from now.
Right.
Because that woman is going to be playing so big, she needs to have that level of grace or forgiveness or fortuitiveness or perseverance. And if we only pull out that if we only pull out the hurt or the shame or the blame or the guilt or the regret or the anger, and we don't find a place to channel it and use it as fuel, not a fortress, then it actually begins to hold us back. And so I was willing to die to all forms of Lisa that literally were trying to die away so that the next version of me can be born. And I love all versions of me. But I know that I am evolution. I am evolution. I am an evolving being. And an evolving being needs to move like a river, not a lake. Remember, you are a river. You move. You're not a lake. You're not stagnant.
Yes, so good, so good. Moving out so you can become, so you can evolve. And then what leads to that, that as you begin to evolve, there's some things that you have to do. You can't sit and say, okay,
Do me.
I'm evolving.
I'm here, do me life. Now what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Joan Baez says that action is the antidote for despair. And Lisa Nichols says action is the prescription for success. Action is a verb. And evolution is a verb, to your point.
Yeah. And so as you're taking action, then the question becomes, what type of action do you do? Because here's something else that you've always said, that many times, see, I remember a lot.
I know you do. Your life is evidence. You don't just remember a lot, you apply it too.
Yeah, I definitely apply it. So one of the things, I like to say that transformation is never one and done. You say that many times we want the convenience of transformation without being inconvenienced. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So your conviction, and if you're writing anything down, sis, write this down. Your conviction has to cost you something.
Has to.
It has to cost you something. Otherwise, it's not a conviction. It's just a nice idea.
Yeah.
The moment you stop, when something becomes inconvenience, it's not a conviction. It's not a strong desire. It's wishful thinking until it's too challenging. And so a conviction is something that has to cost you. And so you are willing. I always say, if you really want to get running, you really want to take your life to that next version of you, I say, sign up for the inconvenience before you start.
Sign up for the inconvenience.
Look at the goal. Look at the goal. Look at where you want to be. Look at, if you say I want to be married, okay, sign up for the fights.
Mm-hmm.
Sign up for the disagreements.
Right, because it'll come.
From someone who's just been married a year, right? And as much, if there's, the first year, you're like, oh my God, you want to still smell his socks, which really, right? But even in the first year, well, before we got married, I said, I want to know. I asked my husband when we were just dating, how do we fight? And he's like, what do you mean? I said, I want to know how to fight. I want to know how to fight to stay together. I want to pick the fight. I want to pick the inconvenience. Because when I pick the inconvenience, then it allows me to make sure that I keep it all done. And so pick the inconvenience of your goal, and sign up for that. Sign up for the late nights. Sign up for paying more money than you ever thought you would pay. Sign up for taking twice as long as you thought it would take. Sign up for not your friends not getting the vision, your family not getting the vision. Sign up for that.
Have to sign up for it. I remember one time, Lisa, I was sitting, in my devotional time, my meditation time, and I was talking to God, and I said, oh, I felt as if I was just spending all this money, on just, on self-development. The process. And I just heard him clearly saying, if you didn't spend the money, you wouldn't be where you are right now.
You wouldn't be able to ask the questions you're asking. You wouldn't be able to pray the prayer you're praying. You wouldn't be right here. I used to be so ashamed of the money I'd invested because no one in my family or my community or my culture that I knew of had paid as much money
Yeah.
as I had invested in this thing called personal development, business development. Now, they may have done so, but I didn't know about them. And so I had shame attached to it. You know, when I looked at the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars that I had secretly, I felt like I had secretly invested. Now it's my money to spend
Yeah.
any way I want. But listen, low key, I spent the money on the down low. I'm like, I'm gonna buy this program. I'm gonna buy it. Oh
Yeah.
my
I
God.
did the same thing. Yeah.
Oh my God. And then I look back about 8 years ago, Esther, and I calculated the millions upon millions upon millions of people that I've had the blessing of impacting
Yeah.
across the continent and the world and the country and the globe. And like that moment you had with God, I am very clear that the people in Kazakhstan and Slovenia, the people over in Pakistan, the people over in Dubai, the people in Abu Dhabi, the people in Kiev, the people in Moscow would not know my name had I not invested in myself. And then the millions upon millions of dollars that I generated would not have gone through my bank account, have been able to be deposited into nonprofits had I not invested. So I say to you, sis, you are the best investment that you can choose. You will always give yourself the best ROI. So what? There have been times when you didn't take action. So what? There have been times when you didn't follow through. You've never been here right now. You've never been here right now.
Yeah. And you're worth the investment. For me, I realized I was very much worth the investment. And so when God said to me, and you wouldn't be where you are if you didn't make those investments. And I began to look at not where I was and what I was doing and how I felt about myself. And I thought, oh, wow, let me just continue to invest. What happens to us many times is that we want everything for free. And even when we're looking at investment, we're like, am I worthy to invest in me? We'll invest in everything else. You know, we'll go get our nails done. We'll wear the best shoes. And I'm not against that. I love my shoes. I love to shop. You know, I love to shop.
I've helped you. I've helped you fulfill your love.
Oh, yes, you have.
Yes. And on top of that, you are worth the investment, and you're worth putting yourself first. Your mind, your soul, your body, your healing, your future, your dreams.
Yes. And as we prepare to go on a break in just a minute, what I want to add to that is when I began to look at me and realizing where I am and how I have rescued myself, then I then can be a better servant to others, to my family first, to my husband, to my family, to my community, to my church, everything else. It just spreads out. Why? Because I started with me first.
And when we break, I want to talk about some of the clear steps, because the concept and the mindset is one thing, and then we need the steps. So when we return, I'm going to give you some clear steps. Get your notepads ready.
Get your notepads ready, everyone. We're going on a break. See you in a couple of seconds. Welcome back to Life by Design podcast with my very special guest, again, the GOAT, the greatest of all time, Lisa Nichols.
Welcome. Can I tell you, girl, you know, they called me the GOAT for like 3 years, and I didn't know what GOAT meant. And I was like, why are they calling me a GOAT? And I didn't say anything to anyone because I didn't want to feel self-conscious, but I was like, I was trying to make, what is a GOAT? So I'm looking at pictures of goats. I'm like, and the way people would say it, it would always sound loving. And you know how you don't want to confirm, you don't know something. Maybe it wasn't 3 years. I'm embarrassed to think it was 3 years. Maybe it was 2 years. But finally, I just had to ask somebody, what does GOAT mean? They were like, greatest of all time. I said, oh. So thank you. I still hear it and giggle inside because I was the last one to get the memo.
Yeah, it seems like now, ever since I started hearing the word GOAT, now I hear it everywhere. And I always think about, Lisa the GOAT. I guess I could see how you would think, wait a minute, do you like me?
Yes, well, it made me feel better because Meryl Streep she was on an interview and said that she heard the goat as well, and she didn't know what a goat meant. I said, oh, good, I'm in good company.
Yeah, yeah.
So yes, 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 yes. I love this conversation that we're having. I love the conversation around what does it take to rescue yourself, but I want you to think of rescue is synonymous with elevate. It's synonymous with moving from your ordinary to your extraordinary. It's with all of that. Rescue is the beginning. Elevate is the middle. And going from ordinary to extraordinary, that's that legendary, that's that leaving legacy stuff. So it's all necessary. I love the conversation of what's required to do that, because I started with rescue. I started in 1995. 94 was when my son was born. 95 was when I got on government's assistance. 95 was when my son's father went to prison, and he's still there today. 95 was when I was diagnosed as clinically depressed, and again in 1997. So when I talk about rescue, some of that comes from that origin of really needing to rescue myself from mediocrity. I didn't have to rescue myself from my abuser. I'd already gotten out of that relationship. I didn't have to rescue myself from being stuck inside of economic, tightness and rigidity for a while. I'd learned how to get a job. I needed to rescue myself from mediocrity. I needed to rescue myself from looking back at my life when I'm 90, 95 and being disappointed and all the things that have to die with me. That's the rescue I'm talking about. Rescuing myself from my limiting beliefs. Rescuing myself from starting and stopping and starting and stopping and starting and stopping because I'm too afraid that it either won't work or that it will work. So I just want to make sure y'all type in chat. I know you're on Facebook. If now you truly understand what rescue means, and what are you rescuing yourself from? Rescuing myself from the memories that I won't have if I don't leave. Woo!
Yeah. Rescuing yourself from not creating legacy, Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, I just want to be really clear so that we don't think, oh, rescue, I don't need rescue and I'm fine. Well, oftentimes if you're fine too long and you're comfortable too long, comfortable and complacency, they in the same sentence a lot of time. If you too comfortable, because the bigger you play, the bigger your breakdowns. Esther,
come on.
I've said this 1,000 times. And if you're not having breakdowns, then you ain't playing big enough. And so
that means I'm playing really big.
I'm playing really big. And these days, Esther, as I said this weekend, my breakdowns are normally 7 figures in my life, and they require a lawyer or two. And I have big breakdowns, breakdowns that go from country to country. I gotta fly to another country to break down. But I'm okay. I know what breakdowns mean. I don't want to stay comfortable all the time. I'm not looking for drama. I'm not seeking chaos. But I recognize that a part of playing bigger is that I'm going to have bigger breakdowns. I'm going to be disappointed. I'm going to have to go back and revisit that strategy. I'm going to need to change directions and sometimes change teams.
Yeah.
That comes with playing bigger.
I love what you're saying, because all of that, it encompasses rescuing yourself and moving out of that to where you're doing that, because many times we feel as if when we begin to do something, it's all just going to fall together. Boom, boom, boom. And it rarely happens that way. It rarely happens that way. We've got to take action. We've got to do the work, and we have to remain consistent, even in the middle of our disappointments, our breakdowns, our moments when we're crying and we're feeling like, oh.
Or we're feeling all alone. So let me give you some of the steps to rescue. Let me give you some of the steps to what does it look like to foster in the next level of your greatness, of your genius, of your success, of your love, of your peace of mind, any of that. It doesn't matter what you're doing. We're just speaking to evolution. Number one.
So hold on, y'all. Get your pen and paper. If you don't have it, write it down. Cassandra,
Alicia,
Judy, Shanika, Eric,
Juliet.
write it down. Juliet, write it down. Miriam, write it down.
Yeah, so when the number and remember that this is movement. Plans are really great, and you need one. Write this down. If you fail to plan, then you've planned to fail. If you don't have a plan, then if you don't make up a plan, then you have to keep making it up. Yes, and it takes far more energy to keep making it up than it will to adjust the plan you made. Now, when you make the plan and park the plan between fluid and flexible. Because the moment you make the plan and you involve humans, humans are only always unpredictable.
Only and always.
Only and always they're unpredictable. So a lot of times you make a plan and then life happens and you think the plan has failed. The plan didn't fail. We just need to modify the plan based on life. So now I want you to type in chat. So type in chat and message us if this is resonating with you and how this is resonating with you. You had a plan for something 2 years ago, and that plan got thwarted. It got pivoted. It got disrupted because you're a mother or you're a father or you're a wife or you're a friend or you're a business owner and something didn't happen.
Caretaker.
Caretaker, right. I'm now a caretaker. I didn't know I was going to be a caretaker 3 years ago. I didn't know. And so I live in the Bahamas. I moved to the Bahamas 3 years ago. I got married a year ago. You're now visiting me in my temporary apartment back in LA because life happened. My dad was in a tragic accident and I love my dad and I want to care for my dad. And I tried for a year and a half to give my dad the best care I could from the Bahamas. It wasn't working the way I and he needed to work. So I relocated here. I got an apartment downtown LA now. Who would have known? And so I've had to pivot all my plans based on where I am, including my marriage. I got to make a plan to be a newly married woman living in another country from her husband. And so a lot of times we sit down the plan or we sit back for a long time and look at the old plan, like what happened? And we let way too much time happen between the look and the next plan.
And the next plan. That's
so we spent so much time telling everybody about how our plan was pivoted, how our plan was changed, we spend more time talking about the plan we had than the plan that we're now creating. And we lose momentum. And now you got to get up and start again. Okay, who am I relating to? Just out yourself. Put the hands up in there. You can say ouch. You can say me. You can say whatever. This has been said with love.
Yeah.
So number one.
Ouch. They saying I get it. They say, oh God, this is good. Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yes. So thank you so much. I think it's Sharita. Sharita. Thank you so much for your comment. Alicia, for your comment. John, my brother, So one, make your plan. Now, when you write your plan out, if you want to get big and bold, go out 5 years. If that's too much, go out 3 years. 3 years is very comfortable for me. I once did a program. I wanted to leave Esther. They made me write my 10-year goal. And I was like, I can't do that. And they made me add pictures to it, add context to it. It's one of the best programs I've ever done. And I looked up and 10 years later, everything had come to pass. Last thing was my weight. And so I'm going to invite you, write your 3-year goal. That's number one, write your plan. Now, categorize it in different categories. Type this in chat as I say it. Write out where you want to be. No, don't write the goal of what you want to do. Write where you want to be. Begin with the end in mind. Write that out. Begin with the end in mind. Speak to the results. For those of you who have been on my campus before, snap your life as a result of. So in 3 years, I'll say this really fast before we go to break. In 3 years, how will your finances look? Be realistic. Stretch yourself, don't stress yourself. Stretch yourself, don't stress yourself. In 3 years, how will your relationships look? Sibling, family, friendship, business, and romantic. All of those categories. In 3 years, how will your health look? How will your tone look? How will your body feel? How will your internal feel? How will your external look? In 3 years, what will your spiritual and mental wellness and your self-image be? Speak to the end result. What will it look like in 3 years? Don't worry about how yet. Don't worry about how. A lot of times you miss out on the what because you tried to figure out the how too soon. Choose the what, and then let's go and make a plan for the how.
For the how. All right, all right. Good stuff, right? Everybody's commenting. Snap your life. Begin with the end in mind, because life happens. Prepare to pivot, and since the pandemic, that word pivot has just become like a reality for everyone. Alicia said hands up and stepping on toes. Good, wonderful comments, wonderful comments. We will be back in just a couple of minutes. Stay tuned for
There's more to come.
Yes,
Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back. We will continue our conversation with the phenomenal Lisa Nichols as we continue the steps, the actual steps that you need to take, that I need to take in order to rescue ourselves.
Yes. So, and you can, if the word rescue triggers you, if you're a superhero or a superhero and the word rescue triggers you, then replace it with what you want. Those steps to take to be in constant evolution, the steps to take so that you live with no regrets, the steps to take so that you play full out. You see all the colors in your wings, the steps you take so that you love the story, the life story that you get to tell about the life you live. We're all protecting our stories. You want to tell the best story about the life you live. My grandmother, before she transitioned, I used to interview her. I got them all on video. I had like the best video logs of my grandmother. And in the last maybe 4 years of her life, I often asked her, Grandma, what do you want to do that you haven't done yet? What do you want to? And I love the way she looks. She goes, baby, I did it all. And she would go down the list. I danced in Australia. I cruised to Alaska. I flirted in the Philippines. Like she just had this list. And she knew what made her happy. And so know that list. We talked about making a plan in the last segment. Make your plan. The second thing that I want you to do is I want you to put measurable, actionable steps to make that plan happen. Over and over and over again, I see my students set big goals, and then the time comes and they don't hit them. And it's often 95% of the time, it's because they didn't break that big goal, that big intention down into actionable steps. So it was a great attainable goal, but the action steps to get there were never broken down into things that you can actually put on the calendar, put a date, and don't say in August, say August 15th. If you can't put the date on the calendar, then the task does not exist. Make it by wins. I know that sounds very linear, and we love setting goals and intentions because they make us feel good. But at some point, you got to move away from that esoteric, warm, fuzzy feeling to what's the plan? What are the clear, measurable action steps? So I want you to write that in chat now. Create clear, measurable action steps. And that's number one. And number two, assign a by-when date that can be circled on the calendar.
I like that. Assign a by-when date that can be circled on the calendar.
Because you can't circle the second half of August, the first quarter of 2024. You can't circle that. Choose a date. Choose a date in the first quarter because your mind responds to specificity. Write that down. Type that in chat. Eric, David, Yolande, type that in chat. My mind responds to specificity. My mind relaxes with ambiguity.
Yeah. One more time. My mind
responds to specificity. It relaxes and leans back and become inactive with generality and with, So
when it does that, there's no action that's taken. You do absolutely nothing.
If you don't see the it, here's what I do. For example, I'm going to have my book done. So many of us got a book in our belly. I'm going to have my book done by June of 2024. Great. So that means by September 30th of 2023, I will have the framework outlined. I'll have the chapter titles outlined. By December 15th of 2023, I'll have a draft paragraph of what each chapter is going to look like. Notice how generous I'm being with myself, how much grace, don't rush. A lot of times, the other reason why we don't hit our goals is because the goal was attainable. It was attainable, but the timeline was unrealistic. Hello, who am I talking to? If you immediately put yourself inside stress timelines, the goals are attainable, but the timeline does not give time for life to occur.
And then you end up stressing yourself. Exactly. And then the stretch is no longer there because now you're stretched out and you just can't meet it.
Exactly.
You know, you're stressed.
Now, the other thing, the third point I want to make. So the first point is a plan, begin with the end in mind. And where do you see yourself in all these detailed categories in 3 years? And then reverse engineer the plan into clear, actionable steps. I would give myself no more than 3 actionable steps a quarter in each category. Because remember, you're looking at your whole life. So you're looking at relationships, finances, health, and wellness. So you don't want to overwhelm yourself. So 3 outcomes in each category or 1 outcome in each category. And that's the second thing, clear, actionable steps. And then the third is create an accountability community of like-minded gladiators who are running in the same direction as you. And they run about as fast or at the same pace as you, or a little faster. So you want to surround yourself with people. I say this, I surrounded myself with people who caused me or inspired me to stand on my tippy toes. You will never want to be the weakest link. So surround yourself with people who are living in accountability or making clear plans and who will lovingly hold you accountable to what you say you wanted. And Esther, you know how we do accountability in our community. You've adopted that in your community. It works really well. It leaves people in choice. And so those are my 3 top things I would say to touch that next level of evolution in all of us.
And so what's really wonderful, Lisa, about what you're saying is that is exactly what we're doing with the live event that's coming up next week.
I know.
It's a community. It's that like-minded community that I have began for years in developing, like-minded people who are coming together, who are ready to evolve.
Right. And what I love about the event that you're doing on July 21st and 22nd, and for those of you who choose to play at your highest level and come for the bonus day, you'll join on July 20th for that jump start, is that you're put together like-minded people and high-minded people. So high-minded people who are forward-moving, and then you future cast. Write that word down and type that word in chat. One of my best pastimes to do with friends. I just recently December with Danita. Many of you may know, some of you may know Danita Sajus on our campus. And we were just in downtime. And we began to future cast her life for 2023. We did this in December of 2022. And she put out this bold, hairy, scary financial number. Because we're just playing, we're just future casting. We're in our footsies and we're in our fuzzy pajamas. And we began to write the how-to. I'm like, okay, well, that's a hairy, scary number for you. How could we get there? And she wrote down the details, exactly what I just told you to do. And recently we were in Vegas together and she stood up in front of the room. We haven't talked about it again. And she said, because she did that in December, she this year will earn more than she's ever earned in her entrepreneurial career. She's already halfway to her goal, but that was in May. So that means she's going to hit the goal or surpass it. So that's the kind of circle you want to get in to future cast. And that's what you're going to do in July, on July 21st, 22nd, and for the bonus group on July 20th, you're going to future cast and put the community together and then begin to talk about what does it take to produce outcomes. I love it.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm so super excited about it with everyone that's coming and those of you who are going to register now to come and be in the space, be in the room. We are ready for them, Lisa, just to share with them and then to give them the tools
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they need, may want, and they get to choose
yeah, yeah,
exactly where they are and where they would like to go. It's
yeah.
great,
What I
powerful.
what I love about conferences like yours next week is it's like your battery comes and it gets jump started. It's like
Yeah,
you come with your jumper cables and you
yeah,
put your jumper cables on everybody that's there. You put so if you need a jump, if you got to fly in, drive in, you got to get yourself there so you get your jumper, your jolt. I can tell you, it was a conference like this in 1997 where I went and someone like Esther put their cables on my cables, jump started my life, and it has never been the same. So you're going to give them the link in our next segment, right?
yes, well, this
Make
is
sure
our
they
last
come.
segment, but the link is posted. Yeah, the link is posted in the chat. It's posted on all of social media. We're going to post
Over so
it.
soon, over
I
so
know,
soon.
I know, juicy conversation, guys. We'll have to have Lisa back if she ever has any time to come back. She's
I
so
will make time for you,
so
girl.
busy, so busy. But the link is posted. You will be able to register. Do not wait too late. Do it today. Do it right now.
Yeah.
Get your jump start. Thank you so much,
Hook
Lisa.
your caboose. Listen, hook your caboose to this woman's training. She's going fast and she's going far.
Amen. Amen. I love you, Lisa. I love
I
you
love
guys.
you too,
Thank you so
sister.
much for joining. Join me
I love
again.
you,
Don't forget
everyone.
to register and connect, subscribe. We can't wait to see you
Yes.
next time. Bye bye.
Continue to rise and shine.
You have been listening to Living a Life by Design, the journey back to you, and living 365 days of purpose with host Esther Graham. Listen or watch live every second and fourth Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Discover that what is possible is already in you. God designed a phenomenal life for you. Esther helps you ignite that energy behind your personal journey for a deeper joy and peace, living 365 days of purpose. For more information on living a life by design, visit fddwomen.com.